Hello. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started for the first of the lightning sessions this morning. So this is developing the library workforce. So if you're not supposed to be developing the library workforce, so leave the room now, please. Okay, everybody. This is a very pertinent session to follow the session that has gone before us, where I think we've given a lot of food for thought. My name is Marie Burke. I'm one of the Associate Librarians at UCD, and it's a great pleasure for me to introduce this session this morning. And how it's going to run is I'm going to introduce the four speakers before they speak, and then each one of them will come up in turn and make their presentation, and then we will take questions at the end. Now, because we have four speakers and we have 10 minutes per speaker, people sometimes do tend to go over. So if we do happen to run out of time, people will take questions outside of the room, but it would be nice if we could have a little bit of time at the end to take some questions. So does that sound okay to everybody? Everyone's happy with that? Okay. So we have four speakers, and our first speaker is Eliška Komárková, and she is currently the Content and Metadata Management Librarian at the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. She has studied librarianship both in the Czech Republic and here in Ireland and UCD, and she has worked in academic and special libraries in the Czech Republic and Ireland over the last 10 years. And she's going to talk to us about education and training for special collections librarians in the Republic of Ireland. And then she will be followed by Niamh Tumilty, who comes to us from the University of Cambridge via Temple Ogue, as I found out last night. And Niamh is head of the STEM libraries at the University of Cambridge, and she's going to talk to us about staff support and development in an embedded librarian project. And then Niamh will be followed by Helen Enright from UL, and Helen is the Senior Library Assistant in UL, and she runs the service desk and the Interlibrary Loan Service. And she's going to talk about something which is, I think, very pertinent to all of the discussions, which is streamlining services into one desk. And then finally, our last speaker is Sheena Murray. And Sheena is the Information Officer in the Library and Learning Technology Services at, wait for it, Crup Clandritlo Menai. Thank you. And she has been with them for the last 15 years, and she's worked across the sector, both in Ireland and in the UK. And she's going to talk to us about putting the IT in team. And we're not going to say any more about that because I think that's a very intriguing title, and it'll be very interesting to hear what she has to say. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Eliška now to come over and to begin her presentation. So thank you.
So, hello, how are you? So, oh no. Pardon me. So, hi, my name is Eliška Komárková. I know Mary introduced me a little bit already, but I'm here to talk to you about education for special collections librarians in Ireland. I am Czech. I studied library and information studies on an undergraduate level at Charles University in Prague, and then I continued with MLIS, focused on special collections there as well. In Ireland, I have just graduated from UCD in 2017. The reason why I'm mostly talking to you here is that I chose this topic as my capstone individual paper, supervised by Dr. Claire McGuinness over there. I have worked in special collections in the Czech Republic in the Military History Institute. I have volunteered in our CPI Heritage Center, and most recently I worked distantly for the National Museum of the Czech Republic. I believe that this experience gives me an interesting insight into this topic, but I want to speak on behalf of the research that I've done and let the data speak for itself. However, my strong professional belief is that one of the biggest reasons why the Republic of Ireland does not have education for special collections librarians is the lack of awareness of developments in Europe, and the particular lack of awareness of the research done in national languages. I know, a bold statement, I promise. I will explain this later in my presentation. Many relevant professional skills and attributes such as collection management and development, research skills, service design and marketing, project management and understanding of literacies and learning theories are transferable and appropriate for special collections librarians. These skills can be achieved through professional list qualification. However, significant misunderstanding surrounds the specialized skill set needed for special collections librarians that cannot typically be acquired through generic professional list program. Special collections librarians are expected to provide tours and talks about the history of the library and collections, but also related to the history of the book, prepare exhibitions and answer researchers' queries about the collection, relevant reference literature, sources in book history as well as knowledge of book printing, book trade, readership, history of libraries and more. Cataloging in DCRM is often required as well as knowledge of the design, illustration and bookbinding of rare books. Knowledge of Latin and at least one another foreign language, generally German, French or Italian, is often necessary, as those being the most used languages of rare collections. In 2008, the Rare Book and Manuscript Group of the American Library Association has developed a task force to research this topic. The research outcome holds the title Core Competencies of Special Collections Professionals, or the RBMS guidelines in short. The guidelines aim to uncover the unique skills needed for special collections librarians and recognize that specific education for those professionals needs to be established to provide students with such skill set. During the research, I came across two relevant studies that aim to assess special collections departments in the Republic of Ireland. Only the National Library, University College of Dublin and Trinity College were included in those surveys, and data was collected from another 78 special collections from the UK. So this makes representation of Irish special collections in these surveys about 3.6%. And therefore, I have concluded that this is not accurate representation of the Irish special collections librarians' educational needs. Well, what did I find when searching for my individual paper? I found out that there is currently no education for special collections librarians provided that is tailored to the unique needs for those professionals as defined by the RBMS guidelines. One elective module taught by Barbara Traxler-Brown ceased to be offered to students when Dr. Brown retired. Interestingly, similar patterns could be also seen in other countries in Europe, where countries such as the Czech Republic or Estonia had ceased teaching book history in the past until interest from students and researchers had led to a rejuvenation of those courses. Analysis of job advertisements for the period of September 2016 to September 2017 uncovered 10 professional positions and 4 scholarships and fellowships requiring either experience or knowledge of special collections. It is unclear how will Brexit affect availability and recognition of courses in the UK, but it could give us the opportunity to establish the only book history course in the EU taught in English. The impact of the current situation seems to lead to offerings of unpaid internships, extensive self-study, low representation of Irish collections and research in international context, inadequate skills, and threats to collections. And now I'm coming back to where I started with my bold statement in the beginning about awareness of research in national languages and in non-Anglophonic world, and the influence on the research in the UK, Ireland, and worldwide. The issue is so problematic that it leads to misinformation about the establishment of the whole discipline of book history. It is surprising and worth pointing out that several researchers from the UK date the establishment of the research in book history to the UK in 1960s and 1970s. I even found out a dedicated blog by German researchers aimed at explaining this misinformation and creating awareness of regional research in book history. Well, many European countries, such as Germany, Poland, Finland, Estonia, France, or Slovakia, had established education and research in book history in the 18th, 19th, or early to mid-20th century, which helped significantly to establish relevant research practice. It is possible to find numerous research papers pointing out the history of the field, such as the developments in the Czech Republic, where book history and education research had been present since the beginning of the 20th century, Finland with over 300 years of history in research, and modern book history studies from the beginning of the 20th century, or closely tied to the establishment of education for library professionals in 1927 in Estonia. As I mentioned in my previous slide, a significant number of countries in Europe does provide postgraduate education for special collections librarian for quite a while. Unfortunately, due to the format of this speech, I am unable to go into further detail about the particular courses, but you can talk to me later if you want. So here you can see a little overview of the countries in Europe that I was able to identify as providing education in book history or special collections librarianship. So to illustrate a little bit how the courses could look like, I have picked a syllabus from my home country, the Czech Republic. This is a syllabus of the Masters in Library of Information Studies, specialization book culture at Charles University in Prague. The course is taken over 2 years and includes the core modules in history of book printing, basics of codicology, paleography, book illustration and bookbinding theory and history. It also includes modules in the history of more modern collections, particularly 19th and 20th century publishing and book trade, which equips students with skills needed for professionals in the antiquarian business as well as adequate evaluation of more modern collections. Digital libraries, cataloging and management is also included, and the students are required to take exams in Latin and German. The course provides students with mandatory planned internships, and they choose from a number of institutions provided by the school. On top of that, students in total choose about 24 credits in elective modules. As it is common practice in the Czech Republic, the course is finished with 15,000-word thesis and final oral examinations. The course, as well as other courses offered by the School of Library and Information Studies at Charles University, are ALA accredited, and the school is also an high school. To conclude, I found the level of education for special collections librarians in the Republic of Ireland inadequate, based on the RBMS guidelines, relevant literature, and compared to the developments abroad. Research by special collections librarians abroad outweighs the research done by Irish special collections librarians. The impact on the collections has not been established, but it could result in devastating consequences. And the research also uncovered lack of awareness of the research in national languages. Recommended actions will be the recognition of the RBMS guidelines and the need for specialized education, actions toward greater awareness of the research in national languages within the Irish list community, further research needed into the impact of unpaid internships on the profession, educational needs of Irish special collections librarians, and benchmarking to establish adequate education as laid out by the RBMS guidelines. Thank you very much.